Well, there was a young girl called Mary who was engaged to a man named Joseph. And one morning, this girl was minding her own business when suddenly there was a light, and right there appeared Angel Gabriel, a special messenger from heaven. And when Mary saw the tall, shining angel standing there, she was very frightened. "You don't need to be afraid," the angel Gabriel said. "God is very happy with you. You are going to have a baby, a little boy, and you will call him Jesus. He is God's own son. He's the one. He's the rescuer." Well, Mary felt her heart beating fast, but she trusted God more than what her eyes could see. And she said, "Whatever God says, I will do." And it happened just as the angel said. 9 months later, Mary was almost ready to have her baby. Mary and Joseph had to take a trip to Bethlehem. But when they reached the little town, they found every room was full, every bed was taken. "Go away," the innkeepers told them. "There isn't any place for you." So where would they stay? Soon Mary's baby would come. Well, they couldn't find anywhere except an old, tumble-down stable. So they stayed where the cows and the donkeys and the horses stayed. And there, in the stable, amongst the chickens and the donkeys and the cows, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his wonderful gift. The baby that would change the world was born, his baby son. Mary and Joseph wrapped him up to keep him warm. They made him a bed of straw and used the animal's feeding trough as his cradle. And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift. They named him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us, because of course he had. Now that same night, a bright new star appeared. God put it where Jesus had been born, like a spotlight lighting up the darkness, showing the way to him. You see, God couldn't keep the good news to himself. He wanted to tell everyone. A bunch of raggedy shepherds were watching their sheep outside Bethlehem. Now, in those days, people used to laugh at shepherds. People thought they were nobodies, just scruffy, smelly old riffraff. But God must have thought they were very important, because they're the ones he chose to tell the good news to first. And as those shepherds were watching their sheep, suddenly, standing in front of them was a huge angel shining brightly. "Don't be afraid of me," said the angel. "I haven't come to hurt you. I've come to bring you happy news for everyone, everywhere. Today in Bethlehem, God's son has been born. Go and see him. He's sleeping in a manger." Well, then the shepherds realized that there wasn't just one angel, but a whole sky full of them. And they were glowing brightly and singing, "Glory to God in the highest." So the shepherds stamped out their fire and they raced into Bethlehem, running as fast as their legs could carry them, until at last they reached the stable. They caught their breath, they tiptoed inside, they knelt on the floor. Here he was, the promised child, the rescuer, asleep in his mother's arms. Here was the light who would chase the darkness away. Now, far away in the east, 3 clever men saw the very same star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign that a new king had been born. "He's here," they said to each other, and they laughed and they danced and they sang. And in the morning, they packed up their camels, wrapped up some special presents for the baby, and they rode to Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem was the most important city for miles. This was certainly the place to find the new king. After all, there was a palace here, and kings are born in palaces. So they went to King Herod. Surely he would know where this baby was. But he didn't. In fact, he didn't like the sound of a new king at all. He was the only king. King Herod was told about the promise that God's king would be born in Bethlehem. So he sent the wise men there and told them to tell him when they had found him. So the wise men went out to little old Bethlehem, where they found the star stopped. Well, not over a palace, but over a little house. Were they sure they were in the right place? But sure enough, in that little house they found him, the baby. And they knelt before him. They bowed their heads and they gave Jesus their presents: frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Sparkling, lovely, smelling, gleaming things. Gifts fit for a king.